Dear audience, hello and welcome back in this second lecture of the series of lectures related to the demystification of the Agile practice guide of the PMI. So this lecture would be titled Life Cycle Selection, and we'll talk more about the project life cycle and the how to choose the proper methodology for managing the project life cycle. So we'll start by an introduction. To introduce this topic, we have to mention something very important, that projects do vary widely depending on the type of the project, the complexity of the project, the location of the project, the various enterprise environmental factors, the EFs, and even the project team and the project culture, okay, and so many other factors. And it's essential for us to understand the characteristics and options available for the project team to select the most suitable approach for their specific situation. And in project management, especially within software development, we have some common terms like increment, sprint. These terms describe the different aspects of the development process, especially in Agile methodologies. So we will take a look at these definitions and these terms one by one as we go forward in this course. Let's start by defining the increment. What do we mean by increment? An increment is a measurable and usable piece of the product that results from specific phase or iteration of development. And we should know that increments are cumulative. So each new increment builds on the previous increment, and this helps to enhance the overall product. So this is a sort of enhancement for the product by adding these increments together. Let's give some example. Let's assume that we have a project in which we are developing a customer relationship management software, CRM. Some typical increments would be like this. The first increment would be the basic user interface and customer database. Then second increment would be adding functionality for customer interaction tracking. The third increment would be implementing automated email marketing features. So as we can see, increments are actual jobs that we do. They are blocks that we are building. So they are some sort of deliverables that we get out of the work done. A fourth increment would be enhancing reporting and analytics capabilities. Okay, so these are typical increments in CRM software project. So as we can see, they are not defined by time. They are defined by tasks and deliverables. So this is an increment. On the other hand, we will see how the increments, okay, help the project managers, okay, to deliver what we call a working version of the software that includes new feature or improvement. Okay, so this is very important, that every increment adds something new, some new feature, some improvement to the software. And one of the characteristics of the increments is that they are delivered sequentially, adding to the product's functionality over time. Let's take also some visual example. Imagine we are developing a project management tool. Okay, so for example, in the first increment, the tool might include basic task creation and user assignment features. In the next increment, it adds project timelines and Gantt charts. So this is an addition. So each increment adds more functionality to the tool. Then we define sprint, okay, and we'll see that the sprint is usually is something like in a time box, okay. It's related to time. Certainly we get some functions in that time, okay, but a sprint is a measure of time. So a sprint is a set period, usually 2 to 4 weeks. Sometimes it might be 1 week, but never more than 4 weeks. Usually it's 2, 3, or 4 weeks. During which specific work items or features are developed and completed. So we plan ahead of time that within like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll be able to develop some features, and these features would be completed within that sprint or that period of time. And sprints are a core component of the Scrum framework within Agile methodology. So if you want to know more about the sprint, then you go to Scrum framework. Sprints are always used in Scrum framework. Each sprint results in a potentially shippable product increment. Okay, so most probably we plan that within that sprint we'll be getting some shippable product increment, but within that sprint or that time box. Let's give an example. Let's assume that we are developing a new e-commerce website. So first sprint might be setting up the initial site structure and home page. Okay, this is an increment actually, but it is because it is within some certain period of time. Let's say 2 weeks. Okay, so this is a 2-week sprint. Again, this is sprint number 2, developing the product listing and search functionality. Let's assume that this would take 3 weeks. Sprint 3 would be implementing the shopping cart and checkout process. This probably might take a week or so. Then sprint number 4 might be integrating payment gateways and user account features. Let's assume that this takes 4 weeks. Okay, so these are sprints. So sprint is a measure of time. So during or measured by time. Okay, during each sprint, the development team works on user stories. So we use user stories. Okay, within the sprint. Okay, and we also use the tasks that were planned during the sprint planning meeting. Okay, at the end of each sprint, the team holds what we call a sprint review to showcase the completed work and a sprint retrospective to discuss improvements. So after each sprint, let's say after 2 weeks, okay, the project team will be holding a sprint review, a meeting. This is a meeting to showcase the completed work, and we'll have also a sprint retrospective. And what do we mean by retrospective? It's some sort of discussion for improvements. So during these retrospectives, which are meetings actually, the team will discuss the failures, the issues, let's say if any risks they faced, all of the problems or the shortcomings, and they discuss about the improvements for the next sprint. The next sprint directly starts the very next day of that sprint, unless you have a holiday or something. By understanding the distinction between increment and sprint, teams can better manage their development processes and ensure continuous delivery of valuable software products. Let's talk about the project lifecycle characteristics. Okay. Actually, we have, as per the PMI practice guide, 4 primary types of life cycles are identified or defined. The first one, which is quite common, and this is very old actually, this is the classic way of defining a project life cycle, or this is the classic type of project life cycle, which is the predictive life cycle. So this is the classic or traditional approach, which involves extensive planning at the beginning. So we start by planning, high-level planning in the initial phase or in the initiation. Okay, and then more extensive planning comes in the planning phase, and this is followed by execution in a single or sequential processes. So some processes might be sequential in nature, some might be overlapping, but in the overall it's sequential. The second type is the iterative life cycle, and this method allows for feedback on unfinished work, which can then be improved and modified accordingly. So we don't wait till the end of the project to get the feedback. No, we just have iterations, different iterations, sometimes large number of iterations, okay, and we get feedback through discussions and meetings with the stakeholders. Okay. This helps to improve and modify accordingly. The third one is the incremental life cycle. This approach delivers finished deliverables that the customer can use immediately. Okay, so during increments, we will be getting some increments or some deliverables that the customer can use and test and give feedback about the functionality of these increments. The Agile life cycle, which combines both the positive aspects of iterative and incremental life cycle, so combining both iterative and incremental approaches, this method refines work items and delivers frequently. Okay, so it increases the frequency of delivering project components or project increments. So this is a table showing these characteristics. So like for example, when it comes to requirements, you can see that the predictive, we should have fixed requirements defined at the beginning. Any change in the requirements for the predictive type projects would mean there is rework and probably waste, okay, and delay in the schedule, the budget to suffer from being more or being over budget, the overall project being over budget. Okay. While the requirements for all iterative, incremental, and Agile are dynamic. Okay, they're not fixed; they are dynamic, and we expect to get feedback and modifications, improvements, and all of these things. When it comes to activities for predictive type, it's performed once for the entire project. Okay, it's supposed to be so, unless there is a rework, of course, which is not counted here. But when it comes to iterative, we have repeated until correct, and for incremental, they are performed once for a given increment. For Agile, it's repeated until correct, same like the iterative. Okay. Delivery, we have a single delivery for predictive, we have a single delivery for iterative, but for incremental and Agile, we have frequent smaller deliveries. The goal for predictive, our main goal is to manage cost. This is the optimal. Of course, we care about all the other aspects of the project, like the schedule, the quality, and all other aspects, but cost is the focus. For iterative, the goal is the correctness of solution. For incremental, the goal is the speed to be more speedy and more quicker in delivering the project components and the overall project. And when it comes to Agile, it's customer value via frequent deliveries and feedback. We can see that if we compare these two with Agile, we can see that Agile gets the best of both, like repeated until correct is coming here, okay, and then frequent smaller deliveries come here, okay. So this is the overall goal of Agile. So it's getting the best of both. And this is another way to illustrate the project life cycle, which is the continuum of life cycle. And to understand the continuum, let's see this diagram. Okay, this is the continuum life cycle. We have on the horizontal line or horizontal axis the degree of change, okay, starting from low degree of change to higher degree of changes, and then for frequency of delivery from low to high. Whenever we have a low degree of change with low frequency of delivery, this is predictive, okay. This is predictive, so we don't use Agile here, okay. But as we go up, okay, when the degree of change increases, then we are more iterative, but with less frequency of delivery. If the degree of change is a bit low, with frequent delivery, then we are incremental. But for Agile, we have both high degree of change and high frequency of delivery. Okay, we have both for Agile. So it's combining both iterative and incremental. Let's talk about, again, in a more comprehensive way, the characteristics of the predictive life cycle. We can see in this diagram how predictive life cycle goes. It starts by analyzing, designing, building, testing, delivering, and this is all sequential. Okay, so if changes occur or if the technological solution becomes complex, the project may incur additional costs. Okay, this is a drawback. In planning, when it comes to planning aspect, planning is a common element across all life cycle, but the amount and timing differ, so more planning in the beginning. So predictive cycles involve upfront planning with detailed requirements and comprehensive procurement activities at the beginning. When it comes to iterative, still we have something similar, but as we can see that more feedback is there. For analysis, design analysis, we just repeat analysis and get feedback and redesign, more analysis, more improvement in the design. And then when we go to building and testing, again we build and test till we are satisfied, then we deliver. Okay, so there is a feedback. Okay, so each new prototype provides stakeholder feedback. This is a feedback by the stakeholder, and also we have team insights leading to modified plans and reworked activities. Okay, So this is iterative. So we go on iterations. And the benefit would be that it's suitable for high complexity with frequent changes. Some projects are complex, so we cannot anticipate the changes. It's very difficult to anticipate the changes. Or we have differing stakeholder views on the final product. That's why we have to interact more with the stakeholders. Iterative life cycles may take longer but are optimized for learning. Then the incremental life cycle. These are increments. Okay, so we do everything and complete. Then we go for smaller portions of the project. Okay, then we finalize everything, give the increment which is operational, then make another increment, then another increment, and all of these increments add up together to form the final project. The benefit is ideal when the business cannot afford to wait for complete delivery. Delivering smaller increments allow for quick customer feedback and adaptation. And when it comes to Agile life cycle, okay, this, as I mentioned before, we have a blend of both iterative and incremental approaches, okay, to adapt to high degree of change and deliver project value more frequently. So Agile team pull features from the backlog based on the capacity and manage work in progress through a task board. The benefit is increases customer satisfaction with early and continuous delivery of valuable products. This is very important. Suitability filters, how to decide the suitability of which technique. There are various assessment models that exist to determine the fit for Agile approaches, evaluating project and organizational factors. We will not go into these suitability filters now, but maybe later in this course we'll discuss more about these suitability filters and how to choose the best methodology. When it comes to Agile life cycle, we have two types. One is the iteration-based Agile, and the second one is the flow-based Agile. So in iteration-based, we have the requirements and we have these increments, okay, all with the same period of time. Here, all of these boxes are time boxes, okay, in which we develop the increment or that portion or that deliverable of the project in the same time box or similar time boxes, okay, and we repeat as needed till we get the final product. But for the flow-based Agile, no, not necessarily. These time boxes are different in time. It's just we set the timing as per the requirements of the work in progress. Okay, so the number of features and the work progress is the limit. Okay, like the features might be higher here, so we might be having longer time. Less features might be here, so we might be having less time. Then the time might increase again here, so we'll be having more time, and we repeat and then till the end. So time is fixed here, okay, regardless of what we build, but here no, time is more flexible depending on the features that we need during that period or that phase of the project. This is the main difference between the flow-based Agile and the iteration-based Agile. It's time limit. The hybrid life cycle, we might be having some sort of mixed or hybrid life cycles. Like these approaches may use an Agile development life cycle followed by a predictive rollout phase, okay, benefiting from both flexibility and defined processes. One example might be a pharmaceutical company combined Agile drug trials with a predictive FDA approval process. So the Agile drug trials are possible, but FDA approvals are predictive in nature. Okay, so we can combine both, creating a more streamlined hybrid approaches. So because we don't control the FDA approvals, okay, it's predictive in nature, so cannot change this. Okay, but we can control our drug trials to be agile. These are some different types of hybrid life cycles. Like this one is similar to what we have seen before for the pharmaceutical approach. This is for the drug trials. All of them are agile, but then for the FDA approval is predictive. So agile development followed by predictive rollout. Here we might be having some different type of combination, like we might have agile plus predictive in the beginning, then agile predictive, like this. So this is a combined agile and predictive approach used simultaneously, not in sequence. Okay. We might also have this sort of mix, like most of the things might be predictive. Okay, so largely predictive approach with agile components. So we have some small components, agile components. And we might be having the opposite, largely agile. Okay, most of the things are agile, but with some components being predictive. Okay, smaller time box or time frame for the predictive. This depends on the type of project and the complexity of the project. Here we have the factors that might influence tailoring or our choice. Like for example, one of the factors might be the demand pattern, whether it's steady or sporadic. Okay, so here we would the teams find that using a cadence or the rhythm, it depends how the rhythm is, how much is the steadiness and the activities being sporadic. Okay, and this help them to decide which technique to use depending on the rhythm. So here teams can use flow-based agile with the cadence to get the best of both worlds. Cadence is the rhythm. Okay, here we have, like for example, if we have a rate of process improvement required by the level of team experience, here we more tailor it to use retrospective more often and select improvements. Like if we have the flow of work is often interrupted by various delays or impediments, then we consider making work visible using Kanban boards. Okay, this is one way. This is an agile tool. Okay, experimenting with limits for various areas of work process in order to improve the flow because there are impediments and delays expected. Like if the dominating factor is the quality of the product increment, which is poor, okay, then we consider using various test-driven development practices to make sure that the quality is not poor. This mistake-proofing discipline makes it difficult for the defects to remain undetected. So, okay, we always test the development processes. Then if the factor is more than one team is needed to build the product, then to form a team, several agile teams with minimal disruption. So first learn about the agile program management or formal scaling frameworks, then craft an approach that fits the project content. If the factor dominating our project is the project team members are inexperienced in the use of agile approaches, then So simply we consider starting by training the team members in the fundamentals of Agile mindset and principles. If the team decides to use the specific approaches such as Scrum or Kanban, then we provide them a workshop on that approach so that the team members can learn how to use that approach, whether it's Scrum, Agile, XP, or whatsoever. So to conclude, we can say that selecting the appropriate life cycle for the project involves understanding the project's characteristics. It's very important to understand the type of project, the characteristics of the project, the complexity of the project, and the options available. And the quantum of the life cycle from predictive to agile with iterative and incremental in between provides a framework for making this selection. This is in brief what we expect and what we do. And here we end this lecture. Thank you for being attentive. See you soon in the next lecture to learn more about Agile. I hope that you benefited from this lecture. For similar material, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, AGHA Academy at AGHA Academy. Okay. And also like and share on Facebook. Your comments and feedback is highly appreciated, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you. Goodbye.